Chapter 5. No sooner had the armies, East and West, penetrated Virginia and Tennessee than fugitive slaves appeared within their lines. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois from the Souls of Black Folk. When the sun set, Obie took the mule to the barn for the last time that day. He and Jason finished their chores and cleaned themselves. Then Jason went to the kitchen. Obie needed to think and calm himself. He threaded the needle Easter had just sent with Jason and stitched his shirt. As always, when he was afraid or lonely, he tried to remember his mother's face. He could remember her screams, but he had to picture her face as Buka had described it to him. As he sewed, he tried to put his mind to his usual fantasy about running away and finding her, but other images clouded this vision. Instead, he thought about the runaways he'd seen brought back to the Phillips plantation after they were caught by the patter-rollers. The patter-rollers were men who policed the countryside. They usually beat up a runaway before he or she was returned to the owner. The excitement Obie had felt earlier was gone, beaten out of him by Wilson. Yet he'd survived Wilson's lashes. Could the patter-rollers be any worse? Easter, calling him from the yard, startled him out of his thoughts. He left the barn and walked to the house for supper. Martha Jennings stayed in the kitchen while they ate. The creases in her long, narrow face seemed deeper than usual. Obie wished she'd hurry and leave so that he could talk to Easter privately. The voices of the men sounded like a distant rumbling from the sitting room. Martha picked up a ladle, dropped it, and then knocked a wooden plate off the sideboard. "Got to get an early start tomorrow," she said. Her voice was shrill. "Yes'm," Easter mumbled, giving Obie a puzzled look. Easter and Jason slept on the floor in the kitchen and were always the first ones up. They wondered what she was talking about. Easter's frown lines appeared on her forehead as she took a spoonful of rice and cowpeas. She'd taken off her field dress and wore only the other clothing she had, another homespun dress worn under a long apron. Martha sat at her spinning wheel, which was near the fireplace. "Still need cloth. Might as well work a while. Easter, when you and Jason finished eatin', come help me with this spinnin'." The children looked at one another. Normally she'd be in the room with the men and start her spinning after the three of them had finished eating and the kitchen was cleaned. After they had cleaned the kitchen, Jason got the wire carding brushes for cleaning and combing the cotton before it was spun. Obie walked to the door. He couldn't speak to Easter now, so he decided to go to the barn and wait for Buka. Martha looked at him sadly. "Obie, you stay on here with us. Don't you have tools to fix? Or you want to carve some wood? You can do it here." "Mistress, I go in the barn." "Stay with us." Her voice cracked slightly as her leg moved up and down, treading the wheel. "Need to stay together as much as we can now." Her soft brown eyes were wet. She looked the same way the day Jason's mother died, Obie thought. He recalled how surprised he had been the way she cried over the dead black woman. Easter put down her carding brush. "Mistress, what's the matter?" Martha looked at each of them, brushing the back of her hand across her eyes. She spoke in a whisper. "Y'all let on I told you this. I'll whip you myself. They're selling the farm, and they're selling y'all. We're moving west. We're getting away from this war if we can." There was no doubt in Obie's mind now. He had to run. Jason's face was blank. Easter was the only one who spoke. "Mistress, we be sold together?" she asked, trying to sound brave. Martha shook her head. "Don't be foolish, girl. Martha John'll get a good price for you at Master Phillips. You could be a cook or a seamstress or a nurse or even a lady's maid. You're a smart, pretty gal. Mistress Phillips will be glad to have you." She treadled the wheel furiously. "You learn fast. There ain't nothing you can't do. Some of the things I showed you, you do better than me now." Martha stopped spinning and the tears rolled down her flat cheeks. "You, Obie, they're going to sell you in the Charleston market. You're worth maybe $1,000, young and strong as you are. They're selling you first, before the soldiers come back." She reached down and rubbed Jason's small, round head. "And you ain't nothing but a peck of corn, boy. I don't know what we'll do with you. Only thing you know how to do is sing pretty. Maybe get $50 for you somewheres." Jason slowly grasped what she was saying. "Don't want you to sell me, mistress," he whined. Easter stared at nothing in particular and shook her head. Martha continued. "Missy Holmes is getting married. Maybe we'll give you to her for a wedding present." She looked again at Obie. "So you see, We better sit here together, because we going to be separated soon." Obie paced impatiently from one end of the barn to the other while waiting for Buka to arrive. He hoped Buka hadn't come and left while he was in the kitchen. It was important that he talk with him tonight. Wilson and Master John were selling him. By tomorrow night or the next, he had to be on his way. He opened the barn door to see if a lantern still burned in the house. If Buka didn't come to the barn, then he would go to the shack. The moon was full and bright, but the house was dark. Obie closed the door, wondering what to do, and the hounds stirred, wagging their tails. Easter rushed into the barn. "Have to speak to you," she said. She sat under the hayloft on the milking stool. Obie sat cross-legged in front of her on the floor. "Take me and Jason with you when you run." "I can't take you and Jason," Obie said. "It's too dangerous. And how we get anywhere with him?" "I take care of him." She took one of Obie's long, calloused hands in hers. "We always been together, Obie." His fantasy about running had never included Easter and Jason. Now that he was faced with the reality of actually leaving, he realized that Easter was right. Over the years, they had become a part of him. He rubbed his forehead. "Maybe I go hide in the woods a while. I could keep an eye on you and Jason. If you sold to Master Phillips, I could come back for you." "What about Jason?" "If he give or sold to Missy Holmes, we'll find him easy." He felt her hands tremble slightly. "If we separate now, then we never see each other again," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Remember you tell me one time we was like family, all we had was each other. Sometimes even families have to separate. When them two, Joseph and Pat, on the Phillips place run, they leave their children," Obie said. "I hear they coming back for them. I'll come back for you and Jason after I find my way to Mexico. If we don't leave together, we ain't going to see each other again, Obie. It ain't possible to leave together. Jason too much of a baby, for one thing. I told you, I see to Jason." Obie's throat tightened. He was glad he couldn't see her determined face. He'd miss her, miss both of them. He thought of the little scared, barefoot girl wearing a shirt tail made out of sacking. Wilson brought her to the farm on an Easter Sunday as a gift for Martha. She wouldn't stop crying until Obie thought to give her some molasses candy. She ain't no more little girl, he realized. Suddenly, he wanted to tell her about his dream, and for the first time he shared with someone besides Buka his desire to find his mother. Easter was quiet a moment while Obie finished talking. "I don't have no remembrance of nothing except living here. You and Jason my family. Take us with you and we help you find your ma." A pebble hit the barn door and Obie stood up. The dogs whined and wagged their tails. "That's Buka," Obie said, relieved, as he opened the door. Easter made space for the old man under the hayloft as Obie placed a crate there for him to sit on. Buka was silent for a few minutes after Obie told him about the soldier's visit and the family selling the farm. "This war bring confusion," he said at last. "Now the time to run. The blacksmith from Master Phillips' place came to me today. He say black people running off to the plantations and escaping to the Yankee soldier." Easter's voice came quietly out of the shadows. "You think me and Jason can run too?" Obie broke in before the old man could answer. "I move fast alone. I just hide in the woods. Between me and you, Buka, we keep an eye on Easter and Jason." Buka coughed. "I take all of you to the Sea Islands. Big rice plantations with more African than white man. I still have friends and people there who hide and protect you. They help you make your way north. Wilson never finds you." "And we stay together," Easter muttered. Buka stood up stiffly. "Tomorrow, soon as the family sleep, meet me at the creek." "When the clock ring 9 times, they all in bed," Easter said. "Anything we have to carry?" Obie asked. "I take care of all that. I get breeches for Jason and Easter and other things we need." "Breeches?" Easter said. "Dress you like a boy. Jennings put out advertisement for you as a girl. If we caught it better than patter-rollers think you a boy." Buka shuffled slowly toward the door, and Obie wondered how far the old man would be able to travel. "How long it take to get to the Sea Islands?" Obie asked. 3 nights. He cleared his throat. "Easter, Obie, come close. Tomorrow at 9, you be sure to come to the creek. Now, this important. If we stop by Patter-Roller, we say we go into a funeral at Brantley's farm. I get pass. Suppose Wilson or Master John catch us. We tell them that too?" Obie asked. "Don't say nothing about funeral or the farm to them. Only say that to the Patter-Roller if they run up on us." He paused. "If Master John beat you till you faint, say nothing." "I know when they all asleep," Easter said. "Master and Wilson snore to wake the dead. They sleep fast these days, too, from being in the field. Bucca placed his hands on both their shoulders. You make sure Wilson and Master John don't catch you leaving. The old man opened the door. Round-shouldered and shriveled, he seemed to disappear into the hedges. Easter followed him, her bare feet gliding lightly over the pebbles. Obie closed the barn door and climbed into the hayloft. After dreaming so long of escape, the time had finally come. He still felt uneasy about taking Easter and Jason, especially Jason, but Bucca was leading them. That should make the trip less difficult and dangerous. Obie was up the next morning before dawn after a fitful sleep. He and Easter decided at breakfast not to tell Jason anything until it was time to leave. Easter did warn Jason, however, not to do anything that day to anger Wilson or Master John. As the day wore on, Obie hoped Bucca was able to get everything they needed for the trip. Probably someone at the plantation would give Bucca clothing and food. He wondered, though, how Bucca would obtain a pass. Easter and Obie worked hard, not wanting to do anything to arouse suspicion. As soon as the sun set behind the oak grove, Obie wanted to take off across the fields and go to the creek, but he had to wait. Wearily he led the mule to the barn, with Wilson leading the other mule behind him. At the barn entrance, Wilson left his mule for Obie to take inside and empty the sacks. Jason brought in the cows while Obie unharnessed the mules. After he put the cows in their stalls, the boys climbed up to the hayloft and threw down hay for the animals. He worked without his usual chatter. Wilson came to the barn door and broke the silence. "We're taking the tobacco to Phillips tonight after supper." "Yes, sir," Obie said, trying not to show any emotion. Though he knew they could get to the plantation and return to the farm in more than enough time to meet Bucca, this sudden change in the routine bothered him. Usually they took the tobacco to the plantation in the morning. He tried to stay calm as he helped Wilson hitch the wagons to the mules and load the leaves. Maybe Wilson only wanted to make sure they didn't miss any time in the field tomorrow. Jason jumped out of the hayloft, his eyes asking what his mouth was afraid. Obie asked for him. "Can Jason come with us, sir?" "No," Wilson looked at Jason. "Finished feeding them animals." Jason scrambled back into the hayloft. When Obie went to supper, Martha Jennings stayed in the kitchen again while they ate. Her face was hidden as she bent over her mending. "Mistress, I help you," Easter called from the table. "Why don't you wait till we finish eat?" "Don't fret about me," Martha said. Obie took a piece of cornbread, but he was too nervous to eat. "We taken the tobacco to the plantation," he said to Easter. She looked worried. "Tonight?" "Master Wilson says I can't go," Jason whined. Martha started to say something to Jason, but Wilson came into the kitchen. "Let's move on," he ordered. Obie got up from the table. Jason helped Easter stack the wooden plates. "Come on, I ain't got time for all that," Wilson said to Easter. He nodded in Jason's direction. "Let him clean." At first, Easter didn't realize that Wilson was talking to her. "Yes, sir?" she said, looking confused. "You're coming too." Easter dropped the plates on the table and turned to Martha. Martha rose quickly from her chair, visibly trembling. "You and Obie are going to the Phillips to hire out as field hands for their cotton crop." Easter looked as if she were about to cry. "Mistress, what about the tobacco cropping?" "We'll finish that ourselves. Most of it's done now." The shirt Martha was mending fell unnoticed to the floor. "They hiring you out early. Don't want to lose money." Wilson gave Martha a disgusted look and waited in the doorway. "What about me, mistress?" Jason's frightened eyes filled with tears. "Boy, you're too young to hire out," she said. Easter went over to Martha. She clutched her arm. "Mistress, why we have to go now? We never hire out this early." "Gal, what's wrong with you?" Wilson yelled angrily. "Come on." Obie pulled Easter away. "Come on, Easter. We go now."